Okay, now I've got my camera set up in a different place so that maybe you can see everything that's going on now. The next step that we have to do is to mud it. And by mudding, I mean using some joint compound on it. And the reason I do that is because I really don't like having to do paper mache. Paper mache is good for some things, but to me it's way too messy. Of course, this isn't exactly clean, but I much prefer doing this than to do the paper mache, and it takes so much longer with paper mache. Alright, what I've got here is some all-purpose joint compound. Let's see if you can see that in there. I'll bring it down a little bit. Alright, there it is. All-purpose joint compound. It's what you put on sheetrock when you're doing walls. Alright, so I got my trusty little gloves on, my latex gloves. Truthfully, I usually don't wear latex gloves when I'm doing this. But for this I'm going to do it, or at least I'm going to try to use the latex gloves. If they start breaking on me, I'm taking them off. Alright, I'm going to move the joint compound out of the way here so you can see this a little better, and hopefully I won't get in the way as I'm doing this. Okay, I'm just scooping out a bunch, and I'm going to start pressing it into the mesh tape. And there's no special way to do this. You just slap it on. I start at the bottom and work my way up. I don't know why, but I do like the feel of this joint compound. Guess it reminds me of when I was a kid making stuff with clay, even though this is a lot thinner than what you would do with clay. I do want it to get shoved up by where the cap is, the bottle cap, because that's going to hold the cap of the mushroom in place. You want a lot of joint compound up in that area. So when it hardens, it won't be shifting around. And too, it gives it a more natural, mushroomy look. Alright, I'm getting it up there now. Try to make sure you've got all your mesh tape covered up. at least as much as you can. What the joint compound doesn't cover, you'll be covering with paint. Running my hands up and down along the stem of the mushroom because I want it to kind of look like a stump, like a tree stump. I want some texture there, and I want to make sure everything is covered. So running your hands up and down kind of helps both of those things. Getting the mesh tape covered and getting some texture. Okay. Now, I'm going to put some underneath the cap. And just spread it on there and pull out while you're putting this on so that you get a kind of texture under there as well. You want it to look like a mushroom. You want some ridges. Turn and keep putting it on and pulling it out towards you. Making sure that area underneath gets covered really well. Slide some off the gloves and stick it back in. Really get some ridges in there. Make sure the back part of your hand is pulling out towards you. Gives you some control over those ridges. This bucket is almost empty. I got another bucket though. Not to worry. Joint compound isn't that expensive. It lasts a long time. I've made many projects with a bucket of sheetrock or joint compound. What is this? It goes about poundage, but I'm not sure if that's a 5-gallon pail. but it's like maybe 20 bucks for a pail of it. And that ain't much when you figure how far it goes. Okay, I need to get some more joint compound. This one's got more in it, a lot heavier. I'm gonna leave that on the floor. Okay, get it covered really good. This one is a little thinner. Stirred it up, but still pretty thin. Okay. Once I get it covered, then I'll go with the back of my hand. Let's see. Okay. Okay, it's looking pretty good under there. Another reason why I like joint compound over using paper mache. You can make whatever kind of texture you want going. Okay, now I think I'll just slather some on top and then get a putty knife and try and smooth it out. Just want to make sure we get some on top there. Okay, I don't think I'm going to have to go with a putty knife. I think what's going to do the trick is just letting it dry and then putting another layer on top. It's the mesh tape I'm having most of the trouble with because this joint compound is a little thin. Okay, get my shadow off of it and get rid of these gloves and see if I can't give you a better shot of this thing. Okay. You see how underneath the cap there it's starting to look like a mushroom? Okay. And he's starting to lean pretty good too. He might look like he's gonna fall over, but he won't. I think we'll let it dry and then I'll have to put some more mud on it. But that's how you do that. I'm gonna go wash off my hands.